Okay, so the economy, I hear Trump say economy is better than it's ever been before. And I feel like most of us are like, really, we're still paying almost $4 for gas or groceries. I spent $270 at Walmart the other day and they brought me 4 bags. I kid you not.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like most of us are not feeling like the economy's a ton better. Like, what do you,
100% agree with that. But I also agree with President Trump. And the reason why we feel that way, especially here in Washington, is because the majority of the economy that we feel is not driven by Washington, D.C., it's driven by Olympia.
Yeah.
And the president actually has very little in terms of his ability to be able to influence the cost of living. There are some things that he can do. For example, he can bring the cost of energy down. Well, President Trump has always been notoriously supportive of sort of Leland Olds-esque. And if you go back into the early 1900s, kind of the 1940s, 1930s, 1940s, Leland Olds was basically the Secretary of Energy. It was called something different back then, but his vision was you have to keep energy prices low because that lengthens transmission and brings inexpensive, cheap energy to everyone, even in the farmhouses out in the middle of the fields. And when you have cheap energy, there's a direct relationship between cheap energy and human flourishing. Longer lives, better lives, everything gets better. And unfortunately, Lyndon Baines Johnson broke that and ousted Leland Olds. And what you see President Trump doing is decisive in terms of trying to bring energy down, real actions to bring energy costs down. And then tariffs, that's another big thing that most people don't understand, which is the tariffs are not just vital for our economy. In fact, President Trump is saying, under good advice, that he thinks we can actually get rid of, for example, maybe even the 16th Amendment, if we do good enough with tariffs. And what a lot of people don't realize is in order for America to be healthy, we have to be able to manufacture things. We're in a fab shop right here. We have to be able to do this in America again, but not just being able to cut and weld things together. We need to be able to extract minerals out of the earth, process those into usable goods right here in America, where we do everything better, faster, cheaper, we take care of our employees better, and we're more efficient at it. And we have to do it right here and then take those raw goods and put them into the back doors of our manufacturing plants where finished goods are coming out the front door, and we have to be able to do it right here on our own soil. Tariffs are the #1 lever to make that happen. The problem is you don't typically have a political appetite for an elected member of either Congress or the White House because you can't do it in 4 years. It costs millions of dollars and tens of years to be able to set up a manufacturing environment and to be able to set up that entire pipeline of supplies to be able to produce a finished product right here in America. And so the tariffs are vitally important for us because it drives the right action within manufacturing. And so I would say President Trump's right to say we have an amazing economy, but the people of Washington State and many other blue states are also right to say the economy sucks here in Washington. I'm still paying way too much for gas. My turkey was $50. You know what? I mean, it's still very expensive, right? And that points right at Olympia. And I'll tell you something that's happening that a lot of people don't know about. With a lot of these DOGE cuts, like the USAID, and a lot of the government cuts that are happening on a federal level, what's happening in Olympia is they're taking money that's coming from the federal government that is supposed to not fund things like DEI or other pet projects that they want to do to try to further their socialism. And they're taking that money and they're using it for their pet projects. Meanwhile, the things that we really need, like improvements in our aqueducts for our farmers, you know, to fund and provide employees for the Bureau of Reclamation so that we can make that stuff happen for our farmers. No, instead, water's getting cut and we're being told that we don't have the budget to be able to hire employees. It's like, you know, in a USBR is a federal agency, but there's other examples of it that are on a state level where the state is essentially misusing those funds, and we're the ones who end up paying for it. The citizens, when we're trying to get the services that the government is supposed to be providing, the money's not there. So macroeconomics and understanding, you know, the Laffer curve and all the various things that go into what's happening on a macro level I mean, then you put in, digital currency and cryptocurrency and everything that's happening there. You look at the stock market. It's like how the stock market's almost to 50,000. That's going to be another huge milestone under the Trump administration. So President Trump operates in the macro. He's not like us. He's not a $100, $1,000 person. He's like a $1 million, $1 billion person, right? And so he thinks differently than us. But overall, the economy is thriving in America, and our trajectory, should it continue the way it is, similar to in 2019 before COVID happened, I thought Trump's second term, we were going to see the national debt go down because the economy was thriving, and we're headed back there again. But we have to go through this pain of recovering from all this garbage that has happened underneath the Joe Obama administration. We got to recover.
Yeah.
And we got to get Olympia back in line because they're spending money like it's. I'm hearing rumors that Washington State's going to end up with an income tax, which would make us one of the few states that has both property taxes and income taxes. Most states it's one or the other because it's not necessary. Our budget is ridiculous for the size of state and the number of people we have and the amount of money they're spending every year. It's out of hand.
Yeah. Don't we have, we have a law in Washington that there can be no income tax, right? Are they just going to do away with it? They're just going to...
They'll find a way around it. They've tried for a long time.
Yeah.
And as you say, as the discouragement increases, who do we get to run for these positions? Who do we get to back these candidates? Where does the money come from to be able to get good people elected to send them to Olympia? You have the 17th Amendment, which guts Olympia and makes people not aware or even care about what legislative district they're in or who they elect because they don't have any effect on their senators. So we need to support good people. We need to find good people. We need to make sure that we continue to claw back positions in Olympia and to the point where we can start reeling things back in. Unfortunately, what I see is political fatigue. Most people in our camp, I would say probably neither one of us were deeply involved in politics 10 years ago.
Pre-2020.
Yeah.
I voted.
Yeah. So I was maybe a little bit before that I got involved, but we're still, and I think the majority of the population is like that. And I think in truth, a lot of us thought, okay, we got a fight on our hands. Let's get through this. And we thought, well, maybe it'll take, 2 years. Well, maybe 4. Okay. Let's see, Trump came down the escalator 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Literally 10 years ago, Trump came down the escalator. We're still in this fight. We're still in the heat of this fight. And I think there's a lot of fatigue with that. I think people are tired of giving. They're tired of donating. They're tired of giving their time and listening to the news day after day that's all about politics. It wasn't like that before. We used to get political news, every 2 years or every 4 years or whatever, but it wasn't like our lives. Now it's like engulfed us.
Yeah.
And I think people just have fatigue. And I think if you go back to like Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, he talks about the Stockdale paradox in there. And I think we have to be realistic with ourselves, and we have to say, there's a good chance for people like you and I, this is the fight of our lives. We are probably 10 to 15 years from being out of this. And if we give up now, and too many people give up now, and too many people abandon the state, we're not going to see recovery anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Well, we didn't get here overnight, right?
We didn't.
It was last
we didn't.
50 years of just moving the pin a little bit down the field.
And
all of a sudden.
And I will say that as the pain increases, more people will engage.
Yeah.
And the more people that engage, the shorter the amount of time to seeing recovery. So if people would get past their not knowing, which is ignorance, and they're not caring, which is apathy, we would get through this much more quickly.
Well, okay, so then you get there, and then how do you stay on the right side? Because it feels like there's just so much corruption in Washington. Like how, you're a good Christian. I feel like you're honest. I feel like you have a great vision of what you want to do as a congressman. How do you keep people on the right side and not taking money from the wrong people or?
Yeah, well, 100%. And I get that question. That's probably, especially lately, it's probably one of the most common questions I get because I think it's, again, as a result of the fatigue, is people are like, gosh, dang it, I donated to this guy or this gal and look what they just voted for, I will say that I have been very blessed to meet a lot of really amazing people in Washington, D.C., especially members of the House Freedom Caucus. People that even just today I was texting with about the announcement. And I will say, I don't know if it would be appropriate to name names, but I will say that I want to give you hope and the listeners who watch this hope that there are a lot of good people in Washington, D.C. People that are not there for the corruption. They're not there to get rich. They are there to serve the people.
Really not for the insider trading?
Not the insider trading. A lot of them refuse that. They will not do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. And I think a lot of it comes down to your principles before you go to Congress. And I think that's important, and having a solid marriage and having, a good relationship with the Lord, obviously is very important. But the problem is, and again, I'm an engineer, so I've never been like a really amazing public speaker. And so other candidates come along and they will outperform me on the stage, maybe not in knowledge, but in just their performance. And then people are like, oh, I really liked how that person, they were a really good speaker. And it's like, do they have any backbone? Do they have any integrity? Or are they just twisting you like a little marionette to get what they want so that they can go and satisfy their life? Mm-hmm. Like, I love business. I look forward to coming back after serving in Congress and getting back into business and continuing, various business adventures that I enjoy. I have no vision of figuring out how to weasel my way into, becoming rich in time in Congress, or voting to spend the American people's money on stuff that they would not want their money to be spent on, or being silent in the middle of things like, the Epstein file, debacle, or, not being vocal about things that happen like January 6th, or, lots of other circumstances. The other thing is I think that as a representative, you have to actually show up. You have to live in the district, and you have to, even though you're in DC the majority of the time, I think you need to be involved. You got to be out doing town halls, even with people that disagree with you, and you have to figure out how to Charlie Kirk the situation and show the people that you love them, even if you disagree, mm-hmm. and try to help them see what your perspective is and what you're doing. So that's kind of my take on it. We have a private prayer group that's praying for me all the time, and we're just doing what we can. I believe this is where God has put me, even to the extent, and I have not said this publicly, but I will now. I don't think I would have grown nearly as much as I have if I wouldn't have lost the last election. Winning the last primary and then having to face Dan Newhouse in the general, having all that negative, come at me, and then losing the general, it really, it was a hard thing to face. And I've grown so much over the last year. Feel like I've had the arms of, the Trump administration put around me, and I've been able to help with a lot of projects and different things. And I feel like I've been productive this year, and I've learned way more than I ever could have imagined. So it's very, very important. Let me just say one final thing about that question. I was never really sold on term limits. I agree with term limits, but I didn't think it was a panacea. I didn't think it was going to solve all of our problems. So I've always been supportive of it, but I didn't think that because the problem with term limits is even if you term limit out a bad person, you're also term limiting out all the good people. And so it's like, okay, it just creates churn. But here's the interesting thing. I don't know what the number of years is that you can maintain passion for something, but it's definitely finite, mm-hmm. especially with politics. And so I would say my biggest reason for term limits right now is just because I know the fire and the passion that I have in my belly, and I want every single representative who takes that oath every 2 years to have that passion. And I think when you get someone who's been in there for 5 or 10 or who knows how many terms,
40.
You lose that passion, and it just becomes showing up,
yeah.
right? You just sort of click the boxes and you show up and you make, you do your stock trades and you make lots of money. And so for that reason alone, I would support term limits.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question? Does it give you
Yeah.
any comfort? Because I think a lot of people are worried about me. You know?
I think so too. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I want Jerrod to go there and like become one of the bad guys.
There's a good friend of ours who literally told my wife that recently. He's like, tell Jerrod to withdraw his name because I'm really worried about him. The swamp is so nasty. I don't want him to get over.
I think
engulfed.
that's one of the things I've seen the most
Yeah.
this year is, I really thought Trump was going to come in and like click a button and this, the swamp is going to be drained,
Yeah.
and that has not happened.
And I think there's two big things. One is money, and the other one is relationships. I've been very successful in my life, business-wise. I love it. Served in the military, went to college, 2 engineering degrees, raised 3 beautiful kids. They're amazing. They're in their 20s now. So I know how to make money. It's it's fun. To me, it's like a game. I created a game,
Oh, yeah, it's a
financial
fun
training game called the Easy Profit Game. Great game. You can get a copy at easyprofitgame.com. And then the other one is relationships. Like, Nikki, we've been married for 29 years. We've had rough times. We've had some amazing times. But we have a great marriage. And that's just going to continue for as long as we're alive. And I'll never do anything to sacrifice that. And I think those are foundational. It's not because I'm so great or she's so great. It's because our faith is in the Lord. Jesus is our King. Really, I say to myself, it's Jesus first. I love America, but it's Jesus first. If we want to see America continue, we need to fall on our face before Jesus. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you got to do, I think, to be able to fight in this fight, and to be able to survive without feeling like you're giving yourself up.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you want to do the fight.
And hopefully it solves some questions for people that are wondering.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Jerrod.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.